Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Comics Pals Reviews. Today we are here to talk about gotta get that in there, the Suicide Squad by James Gunn. This, of course, the pseudo sequel to David Ayers / Warner Brothers /
that weird trailer production company that chopped and screwed it like a remix album.
Yes, indeed. Very, very loose sequel, in the sense that it's not a sequel. This is only the first DC film to come out. Well, I should say the third. It's the third DC movie to come out post-pandemic. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
Wait, What am I missing? Wonder Woman and
Justice League.
Oh, Snyder cut. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, wow.
I already got rid of that from my brain, so.
Yeah. I'll never be able to forget it, so.
It took up too much storage. It's like a hard drive up there. You know, I just got to get rid of the big files.
Defrag it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this more than you enjoyed that. Before we get into our thoughts about the film, I do want to let you guys know how you can support us if you want to. Follow us wherever it is that you're listening. Leave us a rating and a review. If that happens to be YouTube, subscribe for free, like the video, share it with your friends. All that stuff is free to do, and it helps us out a lot more than it costs you. Hit the notification bell as well so you can know when we drop new content. Listen to our main show, The Comics Pals, which drops every single week. We had a little Suicide Squad conversation over there. So if you want to check that out, it drops every Monday. It's out right now, so go listen to that. Let's do it. We're going to start this the same way we start all of our movie reviews. Now, hopefully you guys have not cheated. Tyler doesn't know. So, I don't know if Tyler's ever listened to one of our.
He could have cheated.
I know. You're talking about the scores, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I know the bit.
Did you cheat?
I didn't cheat. No, because I forgot about it. I told you, not much room up here. Only certain things are up there.
You sure do have a lot of room for nonsense comic book knowledge, though.
Yeah, I should probably get rid of the Orbs Ghost Rider history at one point.
All right. So for those of you who aren't smartened up, the way we do this is we're going to guess the tomato meter and audience scores from RottenTomatoes.com. And whoever gets closest to both scores without going over will win the game. What do you win? A no prize. Who wants to be the man on the wall? Oh, I think I saw Pete's hand go up first.
I think I got there first.
Go ahead, Petey.
I feel pretty confident. I want to say 95% for both.
Oh,
I think that they're both going to be really high. Because I think for a couple of reasons. I think James Gunn, obviously a very good, competent director. I genuinely thought the movie was very good. And I also think that the bar is really fucking low for DC movies. So I think that will probably give it a bit of a bump as well in terms of like audience reaction and stuff. I think this movie has a lot going for it. So I think that the reviews are going to skew high. So I want to go with 95 because I don't think anyone's going to be brave enough to go higher than that.
I like that, dude. Staking your claim.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
But these, they're not Price is Right rules, right? So like it's just
it is
closer. Okay.
Closest without going over. So if it's 94, I'm fucked.
You're going all in. All right.
Yep. Phil, you're up.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say critically, this movie has an 83% in Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh, I think that's way too low.
You think so? I could be totally wrong. I'm trying to be a little bold myself, perhaps, but I believe a robust 88% from the audience score.
Okay.
Conservative.
I think I can put my hat in the ring here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the critical score is high. Pete, you said 95?
95, I said, yeah.
I'm going to go 93 on this. But I think the audience score is much lower because I did read Snyder fans review bombing this.
Oh, really?
Oh no!
They're always doing stuff. No. If it's not a Snyder movie or
those wacky Snyder fans
stroking the Snyder fans' ego, so I would say, because I think the people actually reviewing it that are fans, it's going to be positive. Mm-hmm. But then you got to skew this thing. Doing some Steiner math in my head. I think we're gonna let's go with a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes.
93 and 69. Okay.
Just said 96.6. Nice.
Oh, repeating, of course.
Kale?
I think this was a really competently made film.
Yeah.
To the point where I could see the things they were doing, that James Gunn was doing, and I'm an idiot. I've never watched a movie. So I think the tomato meter, the mater meter is going to be pretty high.
Mater.
Mater meter is really good.
I'm gonna even lowball Tyler. I'm gonna say 92.
Okay.
And then, boy, you really got to account for those Snyder fans.
They always ruin things.
A solid B plus. I'm going to say like an 87.
Okay. All right. And so, as it turns out, someone was exactly right.
Oh, fuck.
It wasn't me.
Someone was exactly right.
Who was it?
It was Kale.
Wow.
What?
For both?
Holy
shit. So, what was 90?
Is that a first?
92 tomato meter, 87 audience.
Never.
That's got to be your first
right.
victory, yeah.
Yeah, I never gotten it right.
Wow.
Not once.
Has anyone ever gotten it on target like that? That was unbelievable.
That has happened.
Holy shit.
But not with that wide of a gap either. Like, usually they're both closer together where someone's gotten them both right. Because I know both Marco and I have gotten both right, but it's like movies that were really popular and it's like, oh, they're both 98 or whatever. Okay.
Good job.
Wow. That's a spread. I'm impressed.
So what you earn, Kale, other than the no prize, which I will be mailing to you shortly, is you get to share your thoughts first. You actually saw the movie before the rest of us because of your location in the world. So why don't you share your thoughts?
Spoiler free, I assume.
Yeah, just for the start.
I love this movie.
Ooh.
I really did. I had a great time. I even to a certain degree went in a little bit skeptical. But I think I said this on the show last week. Never got to see the trailers because every time I saw the trailer, we watched it on the show and we don't get sound. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I ever saw was on the show without sound. So I never even watched the trailers. This movie, man, works, and it works hard, and it's good.
I'll jump in after it. I agree with everything Kel said. This movie fucking slaps. I thought it was shot really well. I think knowing that, there was that kind of conversation around James Gunn feeling like, that there was fatigue maybe a little bit with the superhero formula. I think you see that in this movie, but not in the he's fatigued and diminishing returns way, but in a I've done this before, how do I do something new? And I think there are a lot of really creative shots. There are a lot of really, really tight action sequences. And I think the thing that I found myself thinking throughout was that this movie works really well as just an action movie, right? If this wasn't the Suicide Squad, it was just the same set pieces with, just a bunch of actors that by name doing cool shit, I think it would be still a good movie because it's just so competently shot. And those things are fun, divorced from the fact that it also happens to be a good, DC Comics movie and that it has some really cool, deeper pulls from the DC universe that are things that I never necessarily thought we'd see on screen. So yeah, I think the fact that it succeeds on both of those levels, I walked away from it feeling similarly, I think, to Kel, very high. It's not, the most emotionally moving movie I've ever seen in my life or something like that, but like it's a damn fun, damn competent action movie with a really good snappy script, a likable cast of characters, and a really good talented group of actors who I thought all brought something to the table.
Yeah, no, I also really liked it. I really enjoyed it. So I was kind of maintaining my hype for it. I was, I didn't want to get too excited for something that I might have to watch at home and be distracted on my phone for. Thankfully, I did see this in theaters, so that's good. But then last week, once Kale mentioned that he really liked it, I'm like, oh, if Kale likes something,
that got me hyped for it. It really did.
Yeah,
I was like, this movie probably fucking slaps if Kale liked it.
You want to talk about how reliable the tomato meter is.
The Kale meter.
The Kale meter. Right? Anything that gets above a 70 is like, it's a masterpiece.
No, so like after last week, I'm like, oh shit, this is like coming up in a week. Like I'm pretty excited for this. And I really enjoyed it. Am I allowed to like give original Suicide Squad spoilers and the non-spoiler section?
I think that's sure.
Safe. Okay. Yeah, because the original Suicide Squad is a dreary one-note slog of a movie, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see any kind of real teamwork, and it's not fun. I don't think any of the jokes really land in that movie. This is like the exact opposite of that movie. I think what James Gunn has done here is taken, the real fun ensemble movie that he showed he can do with Guardians of the Galaxy, and he does it here again. And like this as an ensemble is fantastic. All of the characters like really work. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. Like I came out of this being like, oh, I'll probably not go to a movie theater again anytime soon. But like, I'm glad it was this movie that I saw. So, yeah.
I think it was good. I liked it, but I don't think it was great.
I thought that would be your response.
I thought, without giving too much away, I think it was pretty clunky in parts. I don't think all the jokes landed. I think it was kind of hit and miss in that regard, but that's not really a big criticism. But what I really liked about it, again, without going into too much detail, is I think it was extremely stylish. I think it's very refreshing when we have a director that's able to do very unique things in a blockbuster movie setting, like he does, like James Gunn does here, which is always very nice to see visually. But I don't think it was brisk. I found myself frustrated at points with the length of the movie, and I think it slogs in the middle big time.
2.5 hour long movie. Yeah.
However, the climax is phenomenal. So it's a good movie. I liked it quite a bit. I think it's, I don't know, maybe my favorite movie I've seen in 2021 of new releases, but we haven't had a ton of options, and certainly it's the best of the superhero films.
For me, I also thought it was good. It was pretty good. I didn't like love it. I'm not as high on it as the other guys here. It was good. It felt very, very much like Guardians, and James Gunn has a certain style to him that, I could see the wheels turning, and I could feel the parts where he was like, okay, now I really want you to feel connected to this character. Now I'm going to reel you in.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't, because it's so obvious and blatant, it almost like has the opposite effect of repelling me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's actually a problem I had with the movie is I had a hard time having emotional connection with the characters in this film for the most part.
It's like a tough line with this too.
I found that when it wasn't so inorganic, I was able to, but there were times when it felt very, organic, right? Like you could pick that apart, but like it just didn't always feel earned. And so that was an issue, and I really didn't love the end.
Really?
If you've seen the trailers, well, did the villain appear in the trailers?
I think if you stop at a certain frame, it does.
I won't even get into it. I didn't love that.
Interesting.
I thought I thought that character's presence in the movie actually is a part of what made it clunky for me, because they had to jump through hoops to explain how this was possible, why the Suicide Squad would care about that, and that I felt was I had some trouble with that. One thing you guys didn't mention that this was the best part was the cast. I thought that the cast was incredible. I was able to fall in love with some of these characters, like Bloodsport, played by Idris Elba, because of the performance. This reminded me of why I love Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, after not really enjoying her that much in Birds of Prey. And also Ratcatcher 2. Like,
I
come
love
on,
that character. Yeah,
amazing.
She was
amazing. And major props to John Cena, who I think with this turn delivered in a way that now he's a legitimate actor.
Yeah.
I love John Cena. Yeah, so
it's funny. This wasn't the first legit movie I've seen him in. Like I saw him he was in that not family, it was an R-rated comedy, Cockblockers, I think it was called, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I liked him a lot in that. And I was like, he's genuinely funny in this. And like, he was happy to be like a goon in that, and the fact that like a lot of his like lines in this are like kind of at his own expense. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. Like, I feel like this was a real cementing in my mind that he can carry a movie.
This was a star-making turn.
Yeah.
Not to go too much into spoilers, but what I do know is James Gunn, well, he was like preparing for the role, told him to be Captain America, but a lot more douchey.
It's what he is.
It works. Yeah, it works.
Let me get through this so we can do the spoiler stuff. And it has a definite style that is unique to it. And if you continue to listen, I'm going to answer the question of whether or not I think James Gunn broke the mold, because remember, he said superhero films are getting boring, and I said that I was going to judge this movie pretty harshly given his statement. I will answer that question. Now, before we get into the spoiler section, we are going to retread, frankly, a game that I thought worked really well when we did our Suicide Squad book club. Everyone right now is going to come up with their code name. It cannot be the same one you had before, and you cannot use anyone's real name. If you use their real name, that's a point against you, and whoever has the most points against them at the end will die.
Okay.
Can I make it my okay? All right.
I know what mine's gonna be.
Oh my god.
Hold on.
Oh god, you're gross. So I don't know if any of y'all saw, like, were paying attention in the credits, but you know how like films will always credit actors by appearance?
Mm-hmm.
So with Ratcatcher, they credited her rats. The rats who played Sebastian, and one of the rat actors' names was Crisp Rat. And I thought that was really funny.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty good.
So that's going to be my code name, is Crisp.
All right. I'm just eating a Pop-Tart. So my name's Pop-Tart.
Good.
Yep. I'm going to go by Bloodshart. Not Bloodsport, but Bloodshart.
Great.
Yeah, on brand.
I'm going to go by the MVP of this movie, the Weasel.
Nice. And I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to be Delta.
Oh, no.
For a second, I really thought you were going to just put Sean Gunn.
That's a real person. Okay, so from this point forward, none of us are allowed to say each other's names. You can only refer to that person by their code name. If you mess up, that's a point against you. Now, spoiler-free section is over. We are jumping into the spoiler section, and I have something that I need to get off my chest. I am so happy that Pete Davidson died in the first 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes.
Fucking hate him. Ooh. I was so glad he died. Kale, you told me without telling me that it happened, and I was
welcome, baby.
So happy. I knew to expect it.
You both said
absolutely
Kale.
Spoiled that.
You both said Kale.
Oh shit!
Boom.
Did I?
Yep.
Come on, Delta.
Okay, sure.
Oh,
Delta and Crisp, y'all suck.
right.
Pop-Tart definitely spoiled that on the last episode because he was like, spoiler free. Whatever's the thing that you want to happen, happened. And I was like, I know what's the thing you want to happen.
See, so I had it in my head the entire time.
And literally, in that opening scene, I said to my fiance, Sarah, I was like, okay, at least like 5 of these characters are going to die right now. And I know Pete Davidson's one of them.
Yep.
Right off the rip.
I like how we got his butthole eyes just shut right off. It was great.
Yeah.
I was so happy that made that, like, the movie couldn't be less than an 8 just off that alone.
I cheered.
Oh yeah,
You guys are so fucked up.
I was hyped.
Yeah.
I think that's why you cast Pete Davidson in something, though.
Sure.
He's got like an unlikableness to him that
If
just worked in this.
if Hollywood will promise me that in every movie that comes out during the coronavirus pandemic, that Pete Davidson will die in the first 5 minutes, I'll go see all the movies. I will fully fund Hollywood myself.
The phrase is punchable face.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think the movie opens really well because it doesn't really waste a lot of time.
No, it doesn't. The original Suicide Squad took forever to get anywhere with it. Yeah, and they don't show us anyone's like power set in the first one. It's just like, oh, let me tell you what this guy can do. You won't find out for an hour.
And it was like, let's have a bullet point list of why they're cool, like all that stuff. Like it felt like it just kind of was like, all right,
2.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
The original one had 2 bullet point lists of why they're cool.
That's true.
It was kind of cute, but it was grating. And here they really didn't waste much time. We basically got right into it, which I enjoyed, with a scene featuring Savant, who was played by same guy who played Yondu,
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker. Yes. Fun little Easter egg right out the gate. Savant is traditionally a Birds of Prey villain, and he kills a bird with his ball.
Nice.
And then when he dies, a canary lands on him and starts to pick at him, representing, well, not necessarily, but like Black Canary, right?
Yeah.
So just
that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
I think the bird is also symbolism for being able to fly free, and these guys aren't at all in this whole movie.
I didn't even think about that.
There's a lot of birds. There's the birds in the cage that we see later on. There are the cartoon birds with Harley. There's that bird King Shark sees.
A lot of bird imagery. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
A lot of dead animals, and if you know me, you know that I really, really hate seeing animals harmed in any way, and so I was struggling with that a little bit when they killed the birds.
I was viscerally upset by that moment.
Yeah. That's some big time.
But also, I don't know about you, Sean, but like this is. Damn it. Okay, I'm gonna die.
Somebody's keeping track, right?
Yeah.
When like way later, when Sebastian, the rat sidekick, was in the middle of the action, I was like, I swear to God, if James Gunn kills this rat, I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, that's a good thing the movie kind of establishes, is that no one's really safe here.
Yeah.
Man, woman, or animal could be picked off at any time. But the only time you kind of think these characters might get out of it is when Idris Elba and the Ratcatcher actress say to each other, like, we'll make sure you get out of this alive. Because then that's a tell, like, okay, those two will get out of it alive.
They were marked for life. Yeah. They were safe. We see a lot of early death, like the real like opening action sequence after they kind of like form the team and stuff. We see, what's represented as like the old Suicide Squad, I guess, because it features Harley and Rick Flag and
Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang. They and some others, Weasel, Pete Davidson, TDK. They go to Corto Maltese, and they are immediately confronted by this army, and they just die.
Of course, Pete Davidson's the fucking rat.
It's a great scene too, because you're like, you just start seeing the pieces just fall, like the dominoes fall down. You're like, oh shit, no one's safe.
It's an effect. Good.
I was gonna say, I think Harley has a little bit of plot armor with her. Like you can kind of say like she's gonna be safe, but like everyone else, you're like, oh, especially after they instantly kill Boomerang, one of the previous Suicide Squad members, like, oh, the stakes are real here.
Yeah, it's funny because I figured every one of those characters would die, but I thought that the team was going to get gradually picked off, not like we're going to wipe out half of these motherfuckers right now. So, like, I remember thinking, okay, Harley's safe, Flag safe, Captain Boomerang safe, like, and it was like, nope, okay, he's gone. All right, all bets are off.
Well, that's why it's a pretty effective kind of bait and switch from the marketing standpoint. A lot of these actors and characters were featured pretty prominently in the marketing of the film, including Pete Davidson. And the fact that these characters get picked out right away is a really, really effective way to kind of put you, like waist first into the movie, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I don't remember seeing Ratcatcher like in any of the promotional material or anything like that, but like Weasel I remember seeing a lot of, right? And it's like
fucking
that was so funny.
Mongal was there.
Is that an alien?
What the fuck?
I thought she'd be a little more sturdy than that, but
right?
Yeah.
She died like such a punk. Yeah.
That was also a really effective way to leverage the sequel element of this movie. To use characters who we're familiar with, who we would imagine are safe, to say no, they're not safe. So that was a pretty good opening. And then we see that there's like this whole other team that that Amanda Waller has put together. I don't know, the whole intro to Bloodsport and his storyline. It was immediately kind of like, oh, so he's got the daughter, and it felt like a carbon copy of Will Smith's character, Deadshot, just kind of like amped up, I guess,
but like a fucking asshole, you know.
Like, it was twisted just a little bit.
Yeah,
it was almost like a nod to Deadshot, like, oh, we couldn't get Will Smith, but here's this almost exact replica, but this guy's a total asshole,
and he's got an accent.
Yeah.
They were allowed to make him that, because it wasn't Will Smith. Will Smith would probably never allow himself to do that.
He just was like, whatever, I'll be a dick. Like,
but Stringer Bell, hell yeah, yeah.
Oh God, don't even say that name, dude. We can just start talking about The Wire. I love Idris Elba, obviously, and this. I've always been upset that he's not a bigger movie star. Obviously, he's got TV shows like Luther, but on the big screen, he's just not that present. So I love the fact that he was essentially the main character. You can make an argument for Harley, but this felt like a movie that was centered around him in a lot of ways. And I think he did a tremendous job. He really is a great actor. I wish he would get more credit.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of those actors that anytime you talk about him, everyone's like, oh, he's wonderful. He's a great actor and we love him, but like he's not a movie star. But I feel like he should be. Like, he's great. He's super attractive. He's got a great accent, and he's good at doing other accents. Yeah, I don't know. I was really happy to see him be, you could argue maybe that he's not the main character, but he's definitely the male lead in the movie. He's the guy. He's, one of the most featured characters in all the posters, all the promotional stuff. So
he's really the heart of it.
Yeah, I think so. I hope that this leads to more opportunity like this for him moving forward, because I'd love to see him carry more stuff.
Yeah, if you would have told me that Bloodsport and Ratcatcher would be the heart of a movie, what the fuck are you talking about?
I would have said, Gunn. Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who the fuck is Ratcatcher 2?
See, I knew Ratcatcher. Bloodsport was outside of my knowledge, so that
what
was
is this? What is this? A James Gunn movie?
I love, by the way, that Ratcatcher was not just Ratcatcher. She was Ratcatcher 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That said, terrific cameo from Taika Waititi as Ratcatcher 1.
Yep.
Yeah,
I really love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool. I like seeing him there.
That was one of the emotional beats that felt less forced to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked that.
Yes.
I read that because Akira got canceled, he was able to do this.
Oh,
that's
hilarious.
Well, we might as well talk about Ratcatcher 2. So perhaps a scene that felt forced, maybe you guys disagree, is when she's kind of recounting her childhood and being Ratcatcher 2 and everything. Now, narratively and from a script perspective, I thought it was super forced, but visually using the bus mirror as a technique to show it, loved that a lot.
I think that was why I was willing to forgive it a little bit. Like, I definitely agree when Sean made the I'm gonna die. Whatever. When Delta made the point that see, now I'm thrown. that there was kind of those forced emotional beats. That was the first one that came to mind for me. I felt like pretty much any time that the characters were like, "This is my backstory," like it felt that way a little bit. But that was one of the ones, and also I felt similarly about like Polka Dot Man explaining his backstory, but both of them felt like they paid off in ways that were worth it.
Yeah.
So I kind of, the fact that we had a nice enough visual representation of that was very creative, and I liked the Taika Waititi moment. I kind of felt willing to forgive it in the same way that with the Polka Dot Man thing, he mentions this whole thing so they can have that visual gag of presenting his mother in these very strange scenarios, and that got a pop for me every time because I didn't think it would be a thing that would get used more than once, and it feels like a thing that could very easily be overused, but it was done creatively enough that I kept with it.
Yeah, it was funny once.
Yeah, I think the Ratcatcher flashback thing was necessary to have that emotional beat at the very end.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Did it need to be as long as it was? No, I think you could shave off maybe 10, 15 minutes of this movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Probably. Tyler, you went to film school or some shit, didn't you?
I have a screenwriting degree, yeah.
Isn't there a trope about like elevator conversations or something that sort of I'm not positive, but it's like a specific trope that exists specifically to give background character information, a la this bus scene that has something to do with like an elevator.
I think it's just like in travel, something like that. Like
that maybe.
You're also helping it move the characters in a physical space, but also giving story in the meantime, because otherwise it'd be boring if you just saw them in a car. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I also had 5 pet rats, 4 pet rats. So like, I was like, you better not kill a fucking rat in this movie. I was very happy about how pro rat this movie was.
Me too.
I didn't realize we had Ratcatcher 3 on the show.
That would be my fiance actually. They were her rats, but I grew to love them.
I just want to. Did Pop-Tart say the real name of Bloodshart there?
No.
Didn't catch it.
Nobody caught it.
That means it happened.
Sure.
Count it.
Listen,
I don't even remember it, to be honest.
Nobody heard it.
I think I heard it.
Oh, well.
It's probably because it's my name, so you're not attuned to it too well.
Check the record. I don't know.
I'm gonna check that record. Meanwhile, I felt similarly about the King Shark when he's like, oh, I have no friends. I felt like King Shark was Rocket for this movie.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, great character, was responsible for several of the funny moments. Mm-hmm. And I think Sylvester Stallone did a great job.
That's so wild.
I know, right?
I forgot about it until the credits, and I was like, oh my God, right.
But again, I felt like I could feel that James Gunn wanted me. He was trying to reel me in. I was like, I don't know, man. I'm not going to give in this time.
Honestly, for me, I was letting him take me in. I'm like, oh, a DC movie is trying to make me feel something. Okay, finally.
For fucking King Shark?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll let you do this for once.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, Sean, that it was transparent, but I very much, I think, fell on the side of it with Tyler where I was like, whatever. Like, I'm enjoying myself fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'll bite.
You bite like a shark. And you said his name, Bloodshart's name.
I'm dead. I'm going to die. I'm already like 5 or 6 down, like whatever, you know?
At this point, the game's not even fun. It's lost so bad.
Someone's going to have to do a lot of work.
Y'all are going to have to get way worse at this.
Yeah.
I kind of thought King Shark felt really flat, a lot of the jokes. The scenes where he was badass, I really liked. There's a scene toward the end of the movie where he falls out of a tower and gets shot up by all the Huentas kind of firepower, and he still gets up and just, eats them, and it's great. But as like a comedic tool, Just every scene with that, I felt really bogged it down.
Can we talk about one of the really impressive things this movie did was made Joel Kinnaman likable?
Yeah.
I've there have been very few things where I've watched Joel Kinnaman and I'm like, oh, he is playing a compelling role right now. I enjoyed Rick Flag in this movie.
Yeah, I did too.
Strangely,
I enjoyed him in the last one, to be honest.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
There was no enjoyment in it for me.
I didn't feel particularly strong about him in the last one. Like he felt like a very one note character. Whereas in this movie, I definitely I don't know. I think the script does its characters a lot of favors.
Mm-hmm.
That's a James Gunn thing.
Yeah.
And this movie too, especially with Rick Flag's arc throughout it's doing the thing that it's doing the opposite of what Marvel movies do, where it's saying screw the U.S. Industrial complex at the end.
Yeah.
Where the Marvel movies are pretty much just stroking it the entire way.
Does it?
Sort of.
Because
I think it does. I mean, Rick Flag was all ready to tear that down. I was like,
does.
fuck you, Rick Flag. Fuck yeah, Rick Flag.
Maybe not the whole movie, but his whole thing of being like, oh yeah, like fuck this. Like I want to release this information to the public is that was I'm with you there.
He was a terrific juxtaposition to Peacemaker. In fact, kind of backpedal just a little bit. The middle part of the movie where they go to the club or the bar and are on the bus and stuff, I thought that was all clunky, and I thought it bogged down the movie big time. I got very bored with it, and I don't get bored of movies very often. In fact, insofar, when they're sitting at the bar, I thought, when did a cowboy join the team? Because he was wearing a cowboy hat, and I forgot who he was.
I thought that was a very odd choice because they're like, we need to blend in. You put one of the three white guys on this whole fucking island in a cowboy hat, and the other one's in a dad polo, and I'm like, think you look like Americans.
But when we get to the scene later where we find out the U.S. is completely behind the Project Starfish experiments and what they did to distance their government from it, and it puts Peacemaker, who's kind of like a double agent for Viola Davis' character, Amanda Waller, versus Flag. That's when there's some really good tension built back into the movie, because those two characters have seemingly similar jingoistic paths, but clearly one is completely broken away from it and the other is fucking U.S. agent in Marvel terms.
Well, I also thought Rick Flag was a little bit disillusioned after the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So after the first one, and also after being betrayed on the other side of the island at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I just meant like that was a precursor to that.
Absolutely. No, I'm agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like, to your point, this movie scripted a good job of building on that and giving him an arc, which I think is what we're responding to. We're like, wow, an actual character arc. Look at that.
Yeah, that's what surprised me, honestly. Yeah.
And I was sad when he died, because
me too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I liked him in the first one, liked him even more here. I was like, man, damn, the character. Like, I'm not gonna say he's the character I like the most, but like I was really connecting with him, and now he's gone.
And I think the fact that the two lead characters being what's Idris Elba's name again?
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
Yeah. Bloodshot.
Oh, that's me.
Being Bloodsport and Harley Quinn, and that those are two characters that feel like loners who don't really have friends, and that they were both friends with him. It also serves as like a positive, emotionally motivating factor for the two actual lead characters. So like, yeah, I thought that he, like, it sucked that he died, and I was sad about it, but it felt like it reinvested me in what was happening on a personal level a little bit more.
Yeah. I also like how he gets the way he dies is he gets stabbed in the heart right on a bootleg Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny shirt, which
that was crazy. That made me so uncomfortable.
I want to work backwards a little bit and talk about the relationship between Bloodsport and Peacemaker. So the first time we really get something with Peacemaker is during the interaction between those two on the island where they are competing to see essentially who can kill the best.
Yeah.
And that was, I like that. That was funny.
That might be one of my favorite DC comic scenes.
It was shot
DC
so
movie
well.
scenes. Yeah.
Like the continuous camera moving around them was really cool.
And the way that Peacemaker effortlessly kills people, it's as normal for him as breathing. His name is Peacemaker, and he's able to do this like it's anything else. While he's just walking through, he's just he threw a hatchet at a guy, and he's doing this and that. It was just crazy.
It's not even just that the efficiency of it all, but it's the grisliness of it all. There's a person sleeping, and he walks by and just stabs him multiple times.
Yeah.
Cena plays that kind of sociopathic, jingoistic American soldier to a T, because I feel like
he is a sociopath.
A big theme in a lot of latter 20th century war movies is the peace by any means rhetoric of American foreign policy. See it in movies like Apocalypse Now and Full Metal Jacket and all these other very famous latter half of the 20th century American movies. And John Cena is playing that type of character, I think, flawlessly. He's like a G.I. Joe.
Yeah, it reminded me of U.S. Agent from Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
He totally could have played that character.
Also, kudos to James Gunn for avoiding gratuitous boob in that scene and instead putting gratuitous penis.
Yeah.
So
he said he would suck a million penises on the
true,
beach,
yeah.
right?
A million dicks.
we got gratuitous boob later.
I know, but you don't see gratuitous peeing in a lot of movies. So
Yeah. He kept it
kudos to Gunn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about Starro's boobs.
No, there were straight up boobs in the strip club.
The Starro close-ups are disgusting. But
speaking of the strip club scene, did you guys catch the cameo there?
yeah,
I did.
Yep.
Mantis.
Wait, what?
Clementif, I believe her name is, or something.
Oh, no.
Literally one shot, maybe a second or two long.
That's cool.
Oh, DC's Marvel.
DC is Marvel. Love it. We haven't spoken about Harley Quinn yet. And like I said, I think that she was amazing in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really enjoyed her opening stuff. I thought it was super ridiculous and did not like the fact that, she's this big celebrity in Corto Maltese. That was random.
That was super junk. That was clunky too.
I mean, she was playing the Evita role in this movie. That's really what it was.
Look at you with the real world history references.
I was thinking about the Andrew Lloyd Webber Broadway play, maybe actually.
Showing your true cards there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that didn't work for me at all. But when I turned was when she killed that guy. When she killed the president.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And then when she gets captured, how they don't just kill her. Beyond me.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you kill the president, you're gonna die. But anyway,
Immediately. Yeah.
when they had her held up and they're tasing her and she's passed out and then she wakes up and she starts wasting people.
Yeah. That was,
I was like,
so
this is Harley Quinn.
The torture scene that Tarantino directed, right?
Yep. All about those feet.
And that's what I was true. That's what I was talking about when I mentioned earlier, just it being a really competent action movie. I feel like from that, maybe not that point, it might be a little bit earlier than that, but you just have a string of really sick, competent set pieces from then on. That whole sequence is awesome. The whole, when the building is collapsing and you get some of those very disaster movie type shots. There's some great fucking stuff in this movie, man.
And when she's being big time. Yeah, especially in the breakout scene. And while she's being tased, she's singing a song that ended up being a music cue for the song that actually played while she was breaking out. And I was like, it's also really, really clever filmmaking. And they did really cool visual stuff as she was on her way out the door and stuff with the birds and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna bring that up. Harley Vision. Not a fan.
Not really.
It was clever. I mean, I could see why you didn't like it though. It was distracting.
I think for me, that whole sequence, I don't know. I like it visually. I like it for how it looks and how the moment plays on screen. But I did think that that section where she's kind of isolated from everybody was one of the pieces where the pacing of the movie, I felt it a little bit. Because even there's like the part before that where they have like all these like romantic comedy tropes, you know, of them like falling in love and gliding towards each other, and like those things are funny and like I like some of them, but you could, like, if we're talking about where we could trim fat, there's probably a good amount of fat there that you could trim.
That felt like the Margot Robbie show.
But
that
like,
said,
you have Margot Robbie playing this character who people love.
And people like her.
Yeah, it's like, I don't blame them for being a little indulgent.
Yeah. Also, like, the Harley just is a perfect character for this movie in terms of her arc throughout the whole DC universe. Her whole arc has been about control, whether that's her control of the Joker's control over her, or her trying to like take control in her own life. And then she's part of the Suicide Squad, which is also controlling her there.
Yeah.
I think that being a core piece of her character makes it work in terms of the narrative of the story.
I like that. What do you guys think of the javelin stuff though with her?
I like how it never really paid off. Like it was about to, and then
I also really liked that. Like, I liked that they set it up like it was gonna be this, like, you know, like J.J. Abrams puzzle box thing, but she's like, what? Hold it for what? And then it just never comes up again, and she just finds it again and is like, oh, cool.
Well, at some point she's like, oh, I know why I have this.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, to stab.
He uses it to stab the eye of the Starro.
Yeah. And I remember when he was like, take the high ground, I was like, she's gonna stab him right in the fucking eyeball. Like, we're gonna get a moment of her tearing down the eyeball, and it went a little bit differently than that, but still pretty good.
Yeah. She can't give up this role. Like, it's just, Margot's perfect. She is Harley Quinn. And someone said that this casting is the best casting since Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I'm not sure that I agree with that, but it's up there.
It's up there, yeah. That's got to be a short list
fair.
if it's not, you know?
Yeah.
She nails it. She embodies that role so well. And she clearly has a lot of fun playing the character, which I think is, you know, that's key.
I don't know. I mean, the Weasel, like, pretty perfect casting.
Sean Gunn nailed
Of course, the Weasel would say that.
I thought it was Phil. Or, well. That's me.
Into my trap there.
Made
my trap card.
My trap card, yes.
Well played. Yeah, so as we kind of move forward through the movie, there's the whole like subplot of the resistance fighters who want to, you know, kill the new guard in Corto Maltese, which, you know, leads to a pretty funny moment where the Suicide Squad think they're rescuing Rick Flag, but they actually killed all of the resistance fighters. That was absolutely nuts. And then Alicia Braga's character is like, all right, well, they're dead, so I guess we got to
know. Like, what are my fucking options at this point?
Completely implausible. I don't think a real person would agree to that, but
yeah,
you know, okay.
Yeah, I like that she didn't retaliate at all. Like, she basically had no problem with it.
Right.
Well, she was like, these are all my friends and family, but, you know, I guess freedom at any cost. That was a little bit of an underbaked element of the movie, but I don't think it's a big deal because that really wasn't the point. I like that it was a theme of the movie, I guess, an element of the movie. It was a good backdrop to what was happening because at the end of the day, it's a good juxtaposition to what the Suicide Squad do, which is they're a tool of like American foreign policy to depose people that undermine or threaten, like, frankly, American resources and imports and stuff like that.
Right.
Or might be in some way a geopolitical threat to the United States or whatever. And so to kind of really touch on that imperialistic quality of it, of the Suicide Squad.
Would you say that the resistance is trying to take back control of their country? Huh? See this thread?
Huh?
There's a thread going on here.
Yeah. I think that all of that was like not that great. It all felt real flimsy. And you know, I wanted to talk about Starro. He obviously that's like a ridiculous villain.
Yeah.
No matter who's fighting him, certainly wildly ridiculous for the Suicide Squad. And I think you're going to land on one of two sides. You're either going to embrace it because it's as ridiculous as this movie is, and you're going to love it because of that, or it's just a bridge too far. For me, it was a bridge too far. I don't get why that made sense.
I can tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because Starro is being controlled by the government, the Cordo Maltese government, and he also can do mind control. Like there is a similarity there.
Yeah.
It's all control.
It's gaining control and also breaking free of the control that's been on him. And in a way,
all of that makes sense. I didn't mean like, why does it make sense in terms of the logic of the movie? I meant like, he's a fucking giant starfish.
Oh, toys? Maybe toys?
Yeah. But
I feel like it was.
You didn't have a problem with the walking shark.
No,
it's not a bridge too far. Well, no, I feel like with Starro though, like I did respond to it. Like I definitely fell on that side of the fence. But I see what you mean. Like my first thought when they turned around to go fight him was like, I literally said it out loud. I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is not a Suicide Squad level villain. Like, and not as like I can't believe this, but more just like what even are they going to do? And
I
genuinely, baby.
I genuinely wondered if this was like the door being opened for like a Justice League Year One thing. Like Starro's attacking the Suicide Squad, fucked off. And they happen to be there. Maybe we'll get a newspaper clip of, Green Lantern and the Flash save the day.
Cool. If this were a comic book, I feel like that would have happened, and that would have been cool. But
I
can't have nice things.
Loved the Starro fight. I can't stress that enough. I love the Starro stuff. I thought it was incredibly silly. I thought it was super surreal. You want to talk about thinking about where comic book movies go in like 2005 when we're in the infancy of superhero movies. Talk to me about Starro being the main antagonist of a movie in my like youth or whatever, or whatever's left of it. Would have never believed that. And I like that it was like kind of like fighting zombies too, like all the possessed people on the street. I thought that was really neat, and like it really wasn't terribly didn't really like those people didn't terribly affect the fight or whatever, but the way they actually fought Starro was really interesting, with the shark, with the rats, with the javelin, with the souped up gun that Bloodshot had. That was cool looking.
That was a cool visual, yeah. Just like adding all the attachments to it.
And, we just watched Black Widow a month ago or whatever. And that's a movie that has a thing falling out of the sky and it's threatening the entire planet. That's not like the level of threat here. It's like this Starro's trying to take over a city. And you're right. I mean, like you could say that maybe it would have moved on beyond that. But like those weren't the stakes presented at that point. Certainly the dictator was talking about using it to infiltrate other countries, like major countries like China, the United States, and Russia. But at that point in the movie, it was just taking over the city, and they stopped it. And I appreciate that the scale was limited to that. It was refreshing for a big boss fight at the end. And this spectacle, that was unique too. So I really enjoyed it.
I like that it took something safe and made it weird. Like a big fight in a city at the end of a superhero movie is very safe, but for it to be a kaiju fight against Starro, and a legion of zombies was like, this is novel. It feels like something I haven't seen a dozen times over.
Yeah.
Pop-Tart, how did you feel about Starro being a kaiju?
Loved it. Not even a question.
That's the one that kills buttons. I'm dead.
Oh my
I'm dead.
God.
I'm dead.
Ridiculous.
You just did it too.
And that bomb that John Ostrander put in your head, it's really going to go off soon.
I saw an interview with James Gunn on Jimmy Kimmel show, except Jimmy Kimmel wasn't hosting; it was like a fill-in host, and he talked about.
Congratulations!
Yeah, that was a blessing.
Lucky for James Gunn.
And James Gunn talked about how like one of his all-time favorite runs of comics is John Ostrander's Suicide Squad, and it was then I was like, oh, I guess we're in for a treat because referencing a specific author.
Ostrander's in it. He's the guy that implants the bombs.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh, that's
Didn't know
cool.
that.
I didn't notice that.
And also like in Ostrander's Run, Jotunheim exists. It was like a Nazi facility or something where Rick Flag actually dies in that as well. So
What do you know?
there is. It's nice. I really have to read Ostrander's Run. I didn't. It's one of my blind spots, but it's one of my blood sports. But
Good one, Tyler.
no, it wasn't.
Ale, Sean, Pete, still behind. Still behind Chris Pratt though. I said 4 names and I'm still behind him.
Not by that much
Wow,
now.
Phil.
I think I'm doing okay now.
Hey, who said my name?
Delta.
Oh shoot! Oh well. I'm still not in the lead. As long as that doesn't happen. Yeah. So, I mean, we've covered pretty much all the bases for this movie. I mean, I gotta say, like the whole rat killing Starro thing. I just
Loved it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I
perfect.
I love superpowers like that. I love superpowers that are like, that's a really weird random power. And then like the more you think about it, the more you're like, that's actually devastating. And that's definitely what that would be. If you could command an army of rats to do anything, to swarm like ants, you could annihilate pretty much anybody.
Dude, you ever get bitten by a rat? That shit hurts.
Fuck no.
No, I've never been bitten by a rat. You ask that as if that's a common occurrence.
Bloodshot had 4 rats, right? So
Yeah, I had 4 rats.
you want to talk about plot armor though?
You
The
fucking
scene where
want one rat.
Starro is dispersing all the little Starros. And, yeah, Ratcatcher not getting like infected or whatever makes sense. She put on the mask, but like Harley Quinn not getting infected.
She just never had a mask on it. Like, I was like, that's a little. Okay.
I think, yeah.
My-
I think the thing for me too was that many rats. Like I could buy a swarm of rats coming up to kill Starro, but like there was a point where I was like, okay, this is a ridiculous amount of rats. Where are these rats coming from?
I don't think you know how many rats are in any given place. Like
I'm not claiming to, but that was a fuck ton of rats.
Yeah.
I'm saying
they're,
that was
they're
like
loyal to Ratcatcher too.
Okay,
They'll do what she wants.
It takes time. Like they instantly appeared.
Yeah. And did they come from the sea? Like what?
Sewer rats.
Sewers.
Sewer rats.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 10 more rats. Like, do you know what I'm
No,
saying? Like,
no.
that's the thing
they're-
though, is like rats.
There's
rats
a lot of
breed
rats.
really
here.
fast.
shut up. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That was a lot of rats.
That was a World War Z level of rats.
I'll
I
give
agree.
you that, but I'm just saying, like,
And listen, I'm not discounting you. I'm not discounting that.
There's a
I lived
middle
in New
ground
York.
here.
I lived
Yeah.
in New York City. I know rats.
she could have turned the device on earlier. Fair enough.
These could be jungle rats.
Jungle rats.
Nice.
I also
Jungle
love
rats.
Starro threw out. It looked like hundreds of Starros, and that was irrelevant. But the rats that instantly appeared were enough to defeat this giant monster.
Yeah.
Like,
Tell you they hurt, dude. They hurt.
For me, the Starro thing was like it was more to add like a time limit. You know, like eventually these Starro zombies are going to close in on Bloodsport and Ratcatcher, and then that's it. They ain't getting out of this one. But they worked their magic on Starro quick enough that it worked.
Yeah,
You know,
that's how I
we're
interpret it.
We're talking about the believability of a swarm of rats eating a giant mind-controlling starfish. So, I mean, it's
okay, but
I can give you I can give you my theory here. It's because Starro represents control, right? And what did we realize with Ratcatcher? Ratcatcher is friends with her rats. There's no control there. They do things because she's friends.
They
with
do
them.
things because she has a magic wand that tells tells them
but
what to do.
But she's
Control.
friends with them. She's friends with them. There's no control. She's not controlling King Shark. She says, "Hey,
don't know.
I want to be your friend." It's
sound
more of a
like
loyalty. So it's
He's not
it's
a rat.
Of course, there's control. She has a device that forces them to do her will.
I think it's more loyalty.
Her whole power is controlling rats.
Bloodshot, you sound like a controlling friend. I'm not being controlling. You're doing these things for me out of the kindness of your soul as
let me
friend.
gaslight you, Weasel, okay?
That's right.
I'm just trying to let my degree do something right now. God.
There's one other scene I do want to talk about that was also a solid action scene. It's the scene where we finally have the showdown between Bloodsport and Peacemaker.
God,
and
it was so good.
It was teased earlier in the movie when they were in like the prison cells. That was the first time they met each other, and they were being kind of measured up against each other about the smaller bullet. And that was a great payoff from an action scene standpoint. That was really, really good. In fact, I was actually really disappointed to see Peacemaker die like he did. I actually thought that character's not going to die because they have an HBO series coming out. But
did you not
it must be a prequel or something.
He didn't die.
There's an after credit scene.
Oh, I didn't stick for the after credits.
He's alive.
Yeah, he's alive.
If you're in the Discord, you would know there was an after credit scene.
There's two after credit scenes.
Well,
actually.
I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep during the credits. So
there's another after credit scene where Weasel is alive.
I saw that. I saw that one.
He's alive with a full moon. So is he a werewolf?
A wereweasel.
A wereweasel. So.
But yeah, that was a great scene between the two. Love that.
Yeah.
The shot of the helmet I thought was really cool. Like where the fight's reflected in Peacemaker's helmet.
Yeah.
And it's rotating around it. That was neat.
I think for me, that's where a lot of my criticism of the climax comes from, that I felt more emotional resonance towards that encounter than I did the Starro stuff. That felt tacked on when you compare it to what was really what the movie had been about.
Yeah.
That's fair.
For the entire time.
I considered that as well.
I definitely think that's fair to say. I just,
Giant starfish.
It was fine. Yeah, it was like I didn't care enough about it because I'm like, this is so big and dumb and fun, and I'm having a good time with it that I'll accept it.
We haven't talked about Polka Dot Man. Did you guys feel anything when
I was I was sad when he died because I would like him and Ratcatcher to make it to the end because they're both just they didn't really do anything wrong.
I knew someone had to go.
Yeah, and he was the obvious candidate.
He was a little fucked up dude, huh?
Yeah.
With the fucking polka dots on his face, the backstory, like the Norman Bates comparison. For like a mainstream big blockbuster superhero movie, and that's not a villain, Macho was a little fucked up guy.
He was.
Would you call this a mainstream? It's rated R. I don't think
so.
Yeah, I mean less mainstream than the stuff that's all ages, but it's still a big
major blockbuster.
There were kids in my theater, actually.
Oh
God!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Those kids saw some shit.
They got an eyeful of John Cena's junk and tidy whities.
They're not kids
they
anymore.
also saw like a fucking dude's head get cut in half by John Cena, and it slid, and you saw the cross section of his brain. Like
that's the real meaning of hustle, loyalty, and respect, right there.
I like Polka Dot Man until we constantly had to see his mom everywhere. I thought that was overused when Starro was his mom. All of my interest in that whole entire scene went out the window. I just couldn't take it seriously anymore. And I was like, okay, yeah, good. He died. Great. I liked him up until then. One scene I wanted to point out, though, I feel like this movie wants to be edgy so bad, but it knows that there's certain places it can't go. Yeah. This might be a controversial thing to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So I think they're in the bar. Maybe it's when they're in the bar, but there's a certain point at which someone calls Polka Dot Man a pussy, right? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Kinda.
I feel like if this movie were released 10, 12 years ago, they'd have called him gay. Or it would have been a gay joke instead of just calling him pussy. And in my mind, I'm like, if you're not going to go all the way, don't even say that, because I don't even think you should be saying that. Calling someone a pussy, so if you're not going to do that, just don't even beat around the bush.
I feel like calling someone a pussy has like a specific connotation. It's like when someone is too chicken to do something. That's when you like kind of pull that out as an insult.
I think at a different time, those words were borderline interchangeable.
I don't think so. Like, I feel like,
I think so.
I think the the result is to prove like this hyper masculine view on this guy who has mommy issues, and like that's the goal, and I think they achieved it for what it was. But I don't think the wording matters.
Yeah, I didn't even clock it.
I don't remember it until you mentioned it, to be honest.
Yeah, same. I didn't clock it either.
So Polka Dot Man was all right. I got a kick out of him the way he expelled.
That was fucked up.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what his actual, like the comic Polka Dot Man? Does he just throw polka dots? I don't think they're matter-eating viruses, right?
You're thinking of the Spot.
I couldn't tell you.
Did you like the Calendar Man cameo?
Was Calendar Man in this?
Yeah, Sean Gunn in the prison when he's making fun of Polka Dot Man. That's Calendar Man.
That was Calendar Man? Oh my God.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
That's fun.
What did you guys think about Amanda Waller?
Oh yeah, that's
in this one?
Viola Davis. I think next to Harley Quinn is the best casting in the DC universe.
Yeah.
She's so intense. Yeah.
She might be the best actor in the DC universe, like just in terms of sheer acting.
Maybe.
I think they really upped her intensity in this movie to the point where I'm like, oh, this feels like more like what the actual comic book version was. I think they just made her mean in the first one, where this one she was literally ruthless in everything she did.
Very calculating. Yeah.
She embodied like everything that personifies like American foreign policy as a person. It was pretty scary. But with regard to like best actor, I don't know. Sylvester Stallone was the shark in this movie.
It's true. It's true. And he didn't even change his voice either. Like
He's
this is normal. This is normal voice now.
I liked her. I thought Viola Davis was one of the best parts of the original film. And here I felt they almost went campy with her at certain points.
Like too far?
Yeah. And then when she gets knocked out, I was like, oh, come on. I just don't feel like anyone would have the balls to do that.
I think they foreshadowed that okay though, because there was already like a sense of like, oh shit, what the fuck is she doing? Ooh.
I don't even think she would have surrounded herself with those kinds of workers.
Yeah,
I didn't even buy that.
That's fair. Like the guy's like, oh, we got a kaiju. I was like, that kind of guy wouldn't be there.
Yeah, because this is like her thing. She wouldn't hire someone like that.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable.
I definitely don't think it's going to happen twice. To your point, like
they put themselves in a corner where it's like she's about to detonate those bombs, and it's just like you got to remove her from the equation somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I'm excited for Peacemaker.
Yeah,
I really didn't have any interest in it before this, and yeah, I mean, especially that I know James Gunn was involved at some capacity creatively. Yeah, I'll show up for it.
Kind of wish he was just dead.
Me too.
Yeah.
One and done.
Yeah, not because I don't think John did a good job or I don't want more. It's just because I think that was a great place to end his character, and that's it. But hey, if we're gonna get more, I'm not gonna complain.
Sure. Yeah.
Final thoughts and a rating.
What's your rating score out of? Just so I know.
We usually do like a 10-point scale.
10-point scale? Okay.
But like we also allow for like points, so it's more like a 20-point or 100-point scale if you want to say like a 9.8 and whatever. Like
I was going to go by a 27-letter scale.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
27 letters, huh?
Yeah, the letter 1 at the end.
Right.
I like I mentioned at the beginning, I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I think if this was more of a generic going, so to speak, of a superhero movie, in other words, if like we had a similar script but James Gunn wasn't the director, I don't know if I would have been as bullish on this movie as I was, because I think there were scripting issues. I think there were pacing issues, but I think a lot of the credit of this movie really goes to the direction of the movie. I think that's, and the performances, like Sean said at the very beginning, performances were very, very good. Even though I didn't feel a strong connection with most of the characters, the acting made up, they did a lot of the heavy lifting. It was nice to see a movie like this, because I felt like it had been a really long time, honestly. So I want to say I'm going to give this like a 8.3, something like that.
0.3, huh? Okay. Very specific.
I was crazy about this movie. I think it does suffer some James Gunn, some James Gunniness. And I would lob that critique at, the Guardians films as well. Both really good, but at times it takes it just a bit too far. But overall, I think what it sets up, it pays off, and it's a solid action flick that it's fun. It's really, really fun. So it's like an 8.5, 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm similar. I would say I think I'd give it a hard 9. Like it. I think to build off a point that Weasel made earlier.
Hey,
got it right that time.
learning.
Back in the game.
I do think that the script isn't the strong point necessarily. Like I think that there are good jokes, there are beats that are well crafted, but I think where this movie really does shine is in its direction, and in its action sequences and in the character, the portrayals of the characters. Really, I think that like I did say earlier, like I think the script does its characters a lot of favors in terms of setting up opportunities for you to like them, either because maybe you do connect with it emotionally, but I think even if you don't, they do a lot of shit that's cool or funny or memorable enough for you to like want to root for them. And I think that's as far as we needed to get with this, right? It is a movie about villains. Like we don't need to love them. They don't need to be the most human characters. We need to like them enough. And I think that like at the very minimum, I think you achieve that with the main cast. And I think it got farther than that with a couple of them where I did care about them and I did want to see them make it, which I really wasn't expecting to feel. I wasn't expecting to feel an emotional core through this movie. But maybe I should have because it was a James Gunn joint. I do think that it has that James Gunn flavor, but as someone who's generally a fan of his stuff, like I think that's why it works. It is gross and gritty and some of those things, but it also has some heart and a lot of fun to be had. So yeah, it's not a groundbreaking movie, but it's a extremely fun movie, and it's a movie that I think is definitely worth your time if you're in the mood for something that's just a good time.
Yeah, I think for me, the fact that there's now a DC movie out there that is funny, but also kind of gritty in a way. It gets in the mud a bit, but actually allows color to be in the movie is great. Seeing Peacemaker being able to actually wear bright reds and blues makes me think they should have been able to do that with another character in the DC universe.
Which one?
I think Batman had a Zuranar suit. I don't know.
Oh, that's purple.
Oh yeah. No, so I really liked it. This I'm a Suicide Squad fan from the comic books, so honestly, maybe it's just in comparison to the original movie that I'm viewing it through this lens. But I thought this was a fantastic movie. I would probably give it, I'm gonna say 8.7 on my scale.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Phil?
I think
Phil went. It's you, Sean.
no, yeah, we're
That was the first one.
yeah, Delta.
Yeah. Oof. Man,
wait. Delta, are you gonna say how you feel about James Gunn's comments about? Okay, absolutely. All right. This is where I'm ready for this.
Okay, so I think that this movie is very good. However, James Gunn said that superhero films have gotten boring and that superhero films are, running the risk of no longer being interesting in a mainstream sense, going the way of the Western or the military film or whatever, war movies. And I certainly do not think that this movie is exemplary of what has to be happening in comic book movies for that to not be the case. I think that in a lot of ways, this feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. And I don't think that it's riskier than Guardians. in the sense that it does things that you don't expect outside of the fact that it's R-rated, right? So obviously you can't compare them in that way because this is R, that one's not. But if you remove that part of it from the equation, they don't feel dissimilar. And I don't see how you can say that superhero movies are boring when you've now made 3 and each one of them feels kind of like the last one. I'll be interested to see how people feel this holds up in a few years. Some of the opinions about Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 have soured over time. I know for me they have, but I've also seen a lot of commentary about, especially the second one, not necessarily being quite as good these days.
James Gunn would know a boring superhero movie. He made Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, so
I prefer that one to the first one.
And
Really?
Dragon.
I genuinely agree with that. But that being said, I think that if you put that aside, the casting was amazing. Some of the best cast, maybe the best overall cast in a DC movie, including Justice League.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
And the best acting, the best action sequences, probably. I would prefer what we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but that's most likely just more personal. I think more people would agree with the idea that this movie had better action. And it felt like a comic book, and that is the best point of praise that I can offer a comic book movie until we get out of the phase where these movies are ashamed of what they are. So hats off to everybody involved. I give it an 8, and I enjoyed it. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to do it for our review. If you disagreed with us, if you agreed with us, write into us and let us know. Hit us at thecomicspals@gmail.com. Leave a rating, a review, a follow, wherever you're listening. Subscribe on YouTube, like the video, share it with your friends, hit the notification bell. All those things are free to do, and they help us out a lot more than they cost you. And listen to our main show. Our main show drops every single Monday. We talk about characters like these and all the places you can find them. Final tally for the score. I do want to make sure we give the final score here. So Pete, it's over now. It's over now.
Oh, okay.
Pete is a 6. I came in at a 4. Kale had 1. Although, to be fair to Kale, we do have to check. We do have to go back.
Questionable. Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that. We'll go back. Phil had 4, although they were all deliberate. And if we're going to have a winner, Tyler would win because he never broke the rule.
Pronouns, baby.
There you go.
Nailed it.
I always forget names, so that's I'm used to it.
I would hope you haven't forgotten our names. Jesus.
I know your name, Cal. That's fine.
Don't ever. With that, we're the Comics Pals signing off. Take care, guys.
See you next time.
Oh man, Pete lost that in style.